What if I told you there's a scientifically proven blueprint for living a longer, healthier life? Not some far off fantasy, but a real, actionable plan. Well, today we're going to break down that exact blueprint. So, let me ask you this directly. What if you could actually follow a step by step plan to extend your own lifespan? And I'm not talking about some weird biohack or unproven tech. I'm talking about tools you can use starting today. The truth is, you absolutely can. Okay, let's just jump right into the evidence, because it's pretty powerful. Take a look at this graph. It shows your odds of survival over a decade based on just one thing. See that top green line? The one labeled elite? People with that level of cardiorespiratory fitness have a massively lower risk of dying from anything. This is proof positive that your fitness level is one of the biggest levers you have for a longer life. So, if we're going to build this blueprint, we need to know what to focus on, right? Well, it turns out the science points to just two critical numbers that are unbelievable predictors of how long you're going to live. And here they are, the two main pillars of living a long time. First, how much muscle you carry. And second, how aerobically fit you are. That's measured by something called VO2 max, which is really just a fancy way of saying how well your body uses oxygen when you're working out. These two things, they're better predictors of your lifespan than almost anything else. Let's dig into that first pillar, muscle. This quote really lays it on the line. After you turn 65, having low muscle mass isn't just about feeling a little weak. It's a huge red flag. It's directly linked to being frail, to chronic disease, and to a higher risk of dying. You should really think of your muscle as your body's personal armor. And that second pillar, your aerobic fitness, it is every bit as important. We all know how serious something like coronary artery disease is, right? Well, the data is clear. Having a low VO2 max carries pretty much the same risk of death, and in some cases it's even worse. Put it this way, just by improving your fitness from low to elite, you can slash your risk of dying by a mind-blowing 80%. That is a massive, massive difference. Okay, so how do we actually improve these two numbers? Let's start with pillar number one, building up our body's armor, our muscle. The solutions here are surprisingly simple. Not always easy, but simple. To build that muscle, we do strength training. To boost our VO2 max, we do cardio. These two things, they are the absolute foundation of our longevity blueprint. So how do we build that muscle armor? With resistance training. And what it does is pretty unique. It's actually the only type of activity that sends a signal to your body to do two incredible things at once. One, grow new muscle, and two, create new, denser bone tissue. That's a direct counterattack against two of the biggest problems that come with getting older. Now, why is this so critical? Because after age 50, the average person starts losing about 1% of their muscle every single year. You might think, 1%, so what? But that adds up. Over a decade, that's a 10% loss in your strength and your ability to just function in the world. This graph really shows what that looks like. You can see that typical downward slope heading towards what's called the disability threshold. But here's the amazing part. See the different lines, the different slopes? That's the best news of all. That decline is not set in stone. You have the power to change your own slope, and you can start at any age. All right, so that's the armor. Now we need to talk about the engine. Let's move to the second pillar of our blueprint, fueling up our cardiovascular system for the long haul. Look, if you need one reason to believe in the power of cardio, this quote from the famous cardiologist Dr. Benjamin Levine is it. Just think about that for a second. 3 weeks of doing absolutely nothing was more damaging to the body's physical capacity than 30 years of aging. Your heart and your lungs are literally made to be used, and you can actually measure the benefits. This chart shows that being aerobically fit in your 40s can literally add years, good, healthy, active years, to your life. We're talking anywhere from 2 to 5 extra years just by tuning up your cardiovascular engine. So, how do we do it? Well, we can break cardio down into two main types. And the easiest way to know which is the good old talk test. Moderate intensity is where you're working, but you could still hold a conversation. This is what builds your endurance. High intensity training, or HIIT, is what really jacks up that VO2 max. That's when you're going so hard you can barely spit out a word or two. And you really need a mix of both. Okay, so we've covered the why and the what. Now, let's put it all together into the how. This is the practical, expert-backed game plan you can use every single week. So here it is. This is a weekly routine straight from Dr. Ben Levine designed to cover all the bases. It boils down to this: 1 or 2 days of strength training, 1 high-intensity cardio session of about 30 minutes, 2 or 3 moderate cardio sessions, and then, and this part's important, 1 longer, hour-long session of something that's just fun, like dancing or hiking. This is the blueprint in action. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Whoa, that sounds like a lot. And yeah, it can seem that way. But please don't get overwhelmed. The single most important rule here is that consistency beats perfection. Every single time. It is so much better to start small than to get intimidated and do nothing at all. In fact, if you feel like you have absolutely no time, science has this brilliant little concept for you. It's called VILPA. You can think of it as exercise snacking. It's just about finding little moments in your day to go hard for a very short burst, like taking the stairs 2 at a time or carrying your groceries home with some real hustle. And get this, the payoff for this exercise snacking is just incredible. Just 4 minutes total of VILPA spread out during your day can cut your risk of dying from all causes, and that includes cancer and heart disease, by up to a third. That might just be the best return on investment you will ever get for your health. And you know what? The same goes for strength training. A top researcher in the field, Dr. Brad Schoenfeld, says you don't need to live in the gym. For most of us, a super minimalist routine, just 2 half-hour sessions a week, can get you really nice results. The catch? Like he says, you gotta train hard when you're there. It's about quality, not quantity. So at the end of the day, the blueprint is real, the science is solid, and there are ways for absolutely everyone to get started. You don't have to do it all at once, you just have to start. So the only real question left is, what's one small change you can make this week to start building your own blueprint for a longer, healthier life? Thanks for joining me.